Necropolis is a 3D roguelite with slow-paced action combat, developed by Harebrained Schemes. The game features a minimalist art style that you will either love or hate. You take control of an adventurer and must travel through a randomized dungeon fighting through hordes of enemies. The combat of Necropolis has clear inspirations from the Soul series. You have a light attack and heavy attack, and each swing drains your stamina. Both attack types can be charged up for stronger blows. When stamina is consumed, your maximum energy is reduced. Eating food and drinking specific potions will counteract this effect. When an enemy is slain, they will always drop the weapon that they were wielding, so what you see is what you get. Unfortunately, there are only a handful of weapon types in the game. What makes this worse is that each weapon of the same category functions the same, with some additional effects on occasion with the charge attacks. So basically, a Tier 0 axe will function more or less the same as a Tier 3. Additionally, each weapon type doesn't feel all that different to begin with. Greatswords and staves are both longer range, but slower weapons with similar swings. Throughout the Necropolis, you will find yourself going into the same room types pretty frequently. This is true even through different floors of the dungeon. Ending up in a room of floor 4 that I encountered on the previous level just makes the game variety feel non-existent. The enemy variation also isn't really there. The grand majority of enemies you will come across are humanoids with swords that will chase you down until they are close enough to swing. Their AI isn't anything to write home about either. It was by no means a rare occasion to witness enemies getting themselves stuck in the architecture. When playing in co-op, the monsters would aggro to my partner 9 times out of 10, even if I specifically went out of my way to engage the fight. This led to frustrating if hilarious situations where he was being chased by 10 or so creatures that I couldn't hope to properly fight. Nothing I could do would rip their attention off of him. While on the subject of co-op, there is friendly fire. I don't have an issue with the concept of friendly fire, but in a game like this, it doesn't make it any more challenging. It's just an annoyance. It simply causes players to not interact within the game. Roguelikes and roguelites typically have various ways for players to change up their playstyles. Typically, this is through randomized drops or different classes. Since there's close to no variety in weapons, the randomized drops don't matter. You will run into the same weapon over and over again. As far as different classes go, there's only one to choose, the Blackguard. The developers have stated that they plan to release additional classes as paid DLC, which to me just seems kinda scummy, given how little variation the base game currently has. As far as playstyles go, there isn't much you can do to mix it up apart from the occasional charge attack. There are no parries, backstabs, or anything like it. No magic either, unless you count single-use scrolls, which typically provide slight buffs, which last around half a minute. For character customization, there are codexes. These books are unlocked with tokens that are rewarded from completing small tasks, like killing a certain amount of a specific enemy, or drinking a couple of potions. One codex can be equipped at a time, and they provide small boons to the player, stuff like giving the player a chance to crit or lifesteal. The descriptions for these are cryptic, as a design choice. After each floor, you can pay in-game currency to a shrine with an increase in cost. This raises your maximum health, and nothing else as far as I can tell. It would be nice if players were given the option of increasing different stats. Maybe let players opt out of increasing health and instead let them increase their attack power or stamina. This would at least give some sense of customization to the player. Most importantly, the game is just too easy. For a game whose description reads, "Spoilers, you will probably die trying," it is devoid of challenge. This is due to 2 major factors. For one, enemies just don't do a lot of damage. Secondly, you get so many materials to craft healing items that any damage you do take can be recovered with incredible ease. It had gotten to the point that I really didn't care if I was properly dodging or not. I knew that I had enough materials to craft 40 more iron rations and 20 more arcane food. The game itself ends up being really boring, all because of the extreme lack of variety. You go from one room to the next fighting horde after horde of dull enemies. You know that there is no threat because each enemy you kill is going to drop even more materials for you to craft another set of healing items. You know there isn't going to be any cool weapon that will drop, just another reskin of that greatsword you got at floor 1. This time it does some more damage. A full run of the game should take about 3 to 4 hours. There isn't much reason to replay the game after that. This is in a genre that builds itself upon replayability. Ultimately, Necropolis feels like an early access title, but it isn't an early access title. This is a full release for $30 US. Oh, and they plan to release paid DLC for this non-early access title. I honestly can't recommend this to anyone for the price that they are asking in its current state. Perhaps if more quality content was added, that would change. For now, stay away from Necropolis.